It's artificial trees, decorations and more. So grab a bargain and get your grotto glittering. Bring the magic ho-ho home with B&Q. Selected lights only, subject to availability. See DIY.com.
Where do I love the most? Paris in springtime, Barcelona in summertime, Rome anytime. And my Air credit card helps get me there, because when I use it, it brings me closer to the travel rewards I love.
Air Credit Card, the only credit card in Ireland that takes you from check-out to check-in. Search Air Credit Card. Air Credit Card is a partnership between Bank of Ireland and Aer Lingus. Over 18s only. Lending criteria, terms, conditions and €7.99 monthly fee apply. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop.
Battery low.
Not on our watch. At Christmas, in real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. We're laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. In real life, you can browse with the most advanced search engine, your eyes. We heart in real life. Dundrum Town Centre.
The next chapter is about to begin. Guns N' Roses, The Return. Guns N' Roses bring an all-new show to Ireland. Saturday, June 27th, Marley Park, subject to licence. Tickets from $99.50 on sale this Wednesday at 9 a.m. Additional charges may apply. Guns N' Roses, Marley Park. It will be epic.
Everybody reacts differently to the shocking affordability of the Dacia Duster. The opportunist, I've heard enough, where do I sign? The skeptics, zero deposit, too good to be true. And our competitors, shocked into silence. The Dacia Duster from just €75 per week and absolutely zero deposit. Whatever your reaction is to Ireland's most affordable car brand, there's one waiting for you. Visit your local Dacia dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply, subject to lending criteria. See dacia.ie.
Chic urban break, rural country retreat, stunning seaside luxury. The best thing about memories is making them. Give the gift of Cliff this Christmas, with vouchers and gift options for all. Cliff Townhouse on St. Stephen's Green, Cliff at Lyons in Kildare, and Cliff House Hotel in Waterford. Exceptional overnight dining and spa experiences. See cliff.ie.
'Tis the season to celebrate. The lights, the windows, the buzz of the city, and of course, the ILAC. Shop for gifts, toys, decorations, fabulous tableware, and pay a visit to Santa's magical cabin. We're open late in December, so you can shop for your special celebration. Rediscover the ILAC this Christmas.
Saracens versus Munster, live from Allianz Park.
On Off the Ball.
You're very welcome back to Allianz Park, where Saracens and Munster are just getting ready to come out onto the pitch here ahead of this Heineken Champions Cup encounter. A must-win game for both sides, really. Munster sitting 5 points ahead of Saracens on 11 points in the pool table. Saracens back on 6. But we're Racing 6 points clear at the top now, having played against the Ospreys last night on 17 points. It looks like this is a straight scrap between Munster and Saracens to see who, if anyone, will pick up a best runner-up place to get through to the quarter-finals. Andy Dunne still beside me, and we're still digesting the news, Andy, that Peter O'Mahony isn't playing in this game. He pulled up in the warm-up with a slight injury. Jack O'Donoghue comes in to take his place at open side flanker, while Chris Cloutey returns to the matchday squad wearing number 23 on the bench.
Yeah, CJ Stander, as we speak, is leading the side out. He's going to assume the leadership captaincy role. Jack O'Donoghue, I think, arguably a more abrasive ball carrier around the field than Peter, but in terms of his all-round contribution to the side, less experience, less of a threat to the Saracens line-out, and certainly Peter O'Mahony, a late and important loss.
Yeah, just to run through the teams as they do walk out of the tunnel out onto the pitch. Munster led by CJ Stander. Munster starting with Mike Haley at full-back, Andrew Conway and Keith Earls both on the wings, while Chris Farrell, Rory Scannell, JJ Hanrahan and Conor Murray complete the back line. Up front, James Cronin continues in place of Jeremy Lockman and Dave Kilcoyne, who are both out injured. He had 10 tackles in last week's vital win against Saracens at Thomond Park, while Niall Scannell, very important with the ball in hand, 15 carries in that win, that 10-3 win at Thomond Park. He packs down at hooker, with John Ryan returning to the side, having been on the bench 7 days ago. In the second row, it's as you were, Jean Klein and Billy Holland, combining Billy Holland, very important as well, 26 tackles across his 3 games so far, while Tyke Byrne, Jack O'Donoghue and CJ Stander complete the pack. For For Saracens, Max Mallins makes his first Euro start with Sean Maitland and Elliot Daly on the wings, Alex Lazowski and Nick Tompkins in the centres, Owen Farrell and Richard Wigglesworth completing the backline. Makavuna returns for his second Heineken Champions Cup game of the campaign with Jamie George and Vincent Koch alongside him, while Joel Kapoku, George Cruz, Nick Ezekwe, Ben Earl and Billy Vunipola also complete the Saracens pack. We are going to pause for a minute for a moment's applause to remember the late Ken Bartlett, a former Saracens player who died this week. And both sets of supporters here at Allianz Park pause in memory of the late Ken Bartlett. Standing either side of the centre circle, our referee this afternoon, Pascal Gauzier, assisted by Maxime Chalon and Jonathan Dufort, while Eric Gauzins is this evening's television match official. Whistle blown, we are ready to go, and Munster are going to be playing from left to right, playing into the south stand here, and they're going to be playing with that considerable wind in the opening half, which is blowing into the far corner of the pitch, sort of a diagonal wind going from north to south, but it is going to be behind Munster's backs in this opening half, as Conor Murray hands the ball off to JJ Hanrahan, and we are ready to go. Munster splitting their forwards left and right of Hanrahan. John Ryan and Billy Holland, along with James Cronin and Jack O'Donoghue lining out to the right, while Tyg Byrne, CJ Stander are on the left, and it's to the right that JJ Hanrahan goes and launches it deep and straight into the hands of Billy Vunipola, who's stopped in his tracks well by Jean Klein. Saracens just inside their 22, midway between the centre of the pitch and this near touchline, as Richard Wigglesworth launches a left-footed box kick, and that goes straight out into touch. Munster line out 10 metres inside their own half.
A superb touch finder from Wigglesworth off the left foot there, particularly kicking immediately into the teeth of that wind. He's made about 50 metres.
First line-out opportunity for Munster. Niall Scannell, who's been 20 out of 25 so far in the tournament, but he finds his man Tyg Byrne there as Conor Murray looked to break off the back of the line-out before he's eventually stopped. And Munster retain possession right on that 15-metre line inside from the touchline on this near side of the pitch, 10 metres inside their own half. Murray has Jack O'Donoghue and John Klein outside him as CJ Stander gets in over the top of O'Donoghue and seals off. John Ryan also into support. 3 men on the blind side for Munster as Conor Murray launches a box kick up in the air, one for Andrew Conway to chase. Elliot Daly getting up and under for Saracens and collects the ball with Makavuna into support, and Billy Vunipola now with a hard carry straight in the direction of JJ Hanrahan, who does well to stop him flat in his tracks. Ben Earl, the latest to carry, as Niall Scannell gets up on top of Richard Wigglesworth and grapples him to the ground. Alex Lazowski now on the ball as Saracens bring it 13 metres inside Munster's half on the far side of the pitch. Another strong carry for Earl, but eventually he's brought to ground well by CJ Stander as Owen Farrell. Touch of a knock-on maybe, but the referee signals it went backwards. Tyg Byrne makes the tackle. Saracens still 10 metres inside their own half as Farrell sends it to the left of the pitch, and Conor Murray wraps up Billy Vunipola well. Saracens edging their way up towards the 22. George Cruz now. Good defence from Munster so far. Saracens continuing to just play with the ball in the centre of the pitch here, and a knock-on forced by Munster eventually as Richard Wigglesworth went to pick it up, but the whistle is gone, and we're going to have our opening scrum of the game. Andy, what did you make of those first 2.5 minutes?
Well, a couple of interesting plays by Ben Earl, the young open side for Sarries. He's not capped by England, but he's been part of their training squad. It looks like they've freed him up off the tail of the line out to try and hustle and upset Conor Murray's flow. He came straight between the line of Murray's line to Hanrahan. Very, very disruptive, and then he also made 2 carries in that period of time. So he looks like an all-round out-and-out 7, a spoiler and a ball carrier. So yeah, quite an impression from him in the first 2 minutes.
And a very important player so far for Sarries in the tournament. He's played every minute of the 3 games so far, and starting at open side this evening as we get ready for our first scrum of the game. Munster, one of 4 teams to bring a 100% scrum record into this match, and indeed with 23 scrums they've had the most out of any team so far as well, as Richard Wigglesworth wraps up Conor Murray before he gets to pass away, but they do eventually get the ball out. John Ryan with the decoy run, Jack O'Donoghue now on a big clear out from John Klein. CJ Stander once more carries as Munster bring the ball up to just 10 metres still inside their own half on the far side of the pitch. Conor Murray launching the box kick now, but under it is going to be Max Mallins. He's making his first start in the Heineken Champions Cup. 22-year-old uncapped Englishman, as Tygburn leaves one in there on Owen Farrell as he launched that kick forward, but straight into the hands of Andrew Conway, who's just tried to dink one ahead, but not tight enough to the touchline. No danger for Max Mallins, who passed it to Owen Farrell. Steps outside his 22 before launching to Gary Owen, and Conor Murray has lost it in the air, but he did very well to just catch it at the very last second, as Mallins was charging down over him. But John Klein now, the latest to carry again. Munster still on the halfway line, as Murray goes to the right to JJ Hanrahan and Chris Farrell, who's getting on the ball for probably the first time this afternoon. Murray across to Tygburn, and that's a strong carry, but he's stopped brilliantly by both second rows Joel Kapoku and George Cruz. Kapoku also making his first start in the Heineken Champions Cup, his first start of the season as well, having come off the bench in the previous 3 games in this tournament. But Munster continuing on the halfway line, just probing left and right. Another carry from Jean Klein, but he's stopped by Nick Ezekwe. And Munster continue to go left. Rory Scannell with the grubber through, but straight into the hands of Nick Tompkins. Max Mallins now finds Elliot Daly, and he's got Tompkins outside of him. Daly grubbers through, and that's bouncing very kindly, and in the end Mike Haley got his hand on it, but it just slipped away from his fingertips, and that could potentially be a costly error for Mike Haley, as Saracens have the first real attacking opportunity 10 metres out of line out on this near side of the pitch.
Unfortunate error there from Haley. He was trying to escort the ball into touch, and obviously would have been a Munster throw. It took a little odd bounce back towards him, hit his wrist and ricocheted into touch, so he's inadvertently given Saracens a huge opportunity here.
Just going to break for a moment as Munster's Niall Scannell just receives a small bit of treatment, just strapping up his applying a little bit of extra strapping around his ears.
There's an interesting period in Munster attack there, really playing between their own 10 metre and the Sarries 10 metre. A lot of huff and puff, but not a whole lot of attacking space. Probably 10 to 12 phases for 10 metres.
As Jamie George now approaches the line out. The line out has been a weakness of Saracens so far in the competition. The lowest percentage of any team across these opening 3 and a bit rounds, but that's taken well by George Cruz, and chance of a maul now for Saracens as Jamie George gets his hand right at the back of the maul. Vincent Koch also in. Vincent Koch now has it at the back. Richard Wigglesworth directing his forwards. Nick Tompkins also comes in from centre, as does Alex Lazowski to come in and support, but Saracens aren't going anywhere fast at the moment as they break off, and it's Tompkins who has the ball, but he's stopped well, and it looks like, are they getting towards the line? Saracens are up towards the try line, and they have a penalty advantage coming. Free shot for Owen Farrell, who dinks it right across to the far side of the pitch, and it's well tackled by Mike Haley, who's stopped the attack, but we are going to come back for this Saracens penalty. Munster penalised for bringing down that maul.
It was a good last-ditch attempt by Haley, obviously desperate to make up for that mistake.
And it looks like a first opportunity for Owen Farrell to have a shot of goal. Pascal Gauzier points towards the post, and the tee is going to come on, and Owen Farrell will have a shot at goal. interesting to see Saracens piling a lot of backs into that maul, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. They it was an old Warren Gatland tactic back in the day, 12 men in the maul. I think Munster would be quite happy to take 3 points here, or concede 3 points rather than 7. Haley made a really important last-ditch tackle there from the crossfield kick. Had the ref played advantage, and Haley missed the tackle. They'd probably just run in for 7. So 3-0 to Sarries.
Yeah, an easy,
probably take that.
An easy tap-over penalty for Owen Farrell. That's his first European points of the season. His first game in this competition so far in the campaign. It's just his second game overall since returning from the World Cup in Japan. Played recently against Bath, where he scored 6 penalties and a conversion in that match. But Munster, to get things back underway here, Saracens 3, Munster 0, 7.5 minutes played here at Allianz Park. You're listening to Off the Ball. Neil Treacy on commentary duty for Munster against Saracens alongside Andy Dunne. This time JJ Hanrahan launches his kick to the left side of the pitch, where it's Alex Lazowski who collects and brings play just outside the 22 on the far side of the pitch. Still just inside their 22. As Richard Wigglesworth looks like he's preparing to kick. Just getting a couple of forwards in to shield him ever so slightly. Jack O'Donoghue wrestling on the ground with Jamie George. But Wigglesworth slowly rolls it out and left-footed. Launches the box kick up the pitch with Mike Haley charging onto it. It's going to drop 10 metres inside the Saracens half, and Mike Haley landed very heavily there. But looks like he has also turned over the ball. Saracens win it back. And Mike Haley will be doing well to get up off that. He is up on his feet. The Saracens hold possession 10 metres inside their own half, far side of the pitch. Vincent Cock in just to protect Wigglesworth. And once again he launches it left-footed back in the direction of Keith Earls this time, who bobbles and looks to have retained possession just before it hit the ground. Again, far side of the pitch, James Cronin the latest to carry, and he stopped hard there 10 metres inside his own half, as Conor Murray once again prepares a kick. A lot of kicking in these opening 8-9 minutes, but Max Mallins does well to take that, and Saracens will retain possession. Billy Vunipola now with a hard carry and a good offload as they gain a couple of yards. And Wigglesworth now to Owen Farrell, and Saracens look to use it, and they have space out here if they can, and it's a good tackle by Chris Farrell just as Lazowski kicked forward, but he found touch, and it's going to be a Munster line out just outside their own 22. On this near side of the pitch, Niall Scannell looking to get on with it quickly, as we see that replay of Mike Haley going up for that ball, and fair collision, although he did land heavily. Both players eyes firmly on the ball as Niall Scannell finds Jack O'Donoghue, who just about bats it back down to Conor Murray, and a big hit from both Vunipola brothers on CJ Stander. Jack O'Donoghue now taken once again by Billy Vunipola and Nick Ezekwe. And Tyg Byrne just tries to snipe at the side, but we are going to stop play here because it looks like Tyg Byrne is staying down. He looks in a lot of pain here, clutching his ankle.
Yeah, there was the Saracens players immediately stopped who were over the ball. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but not nice to see that reaction when all the surrounding opposition players even stopped in their tracks and moved away from Byrne. He's got 2 medical staff attending to him. He was tightly gripping his left ankle and grimacing, but hopefully it's an impact kind of pain as opposed to a more lasting injury type pain.
You just see there as he took a hard carry and was...
They've signalled for a stretcher, I think so.
Straight away, Tyg Byrne is in a lot of trouble here. Scrum hat is off, hands on his head, and looks in quite a bit of distress. This would be a huge blow for Munster, having already lost Peter O'Mahony before this game.
That's a huge loss. I mean, with both guys now, what's on the clock, 10 minutes into the game, and they haven't started with their captain, and Byrne's gone after 10, and also the ramifications, we don't know the details of O'Mahony yet, but the ramifications for a longer term, both for Munster and for Ireland here with Tyg Byrne. To see the stretcher signal for immediately. He is sat upright. He's He's chatting away to the medical team, but doesn't look good. At least, I suppose, one good thing is there's no oxygen being brought on. Often that's the case with a fracture.
But as we said, the concern was almost as soon as the tackle was made, the whistle was blown by Pascal Gauzère, taking no chances, and both Vunipola and Ezekwe straight up off the ground, and getting away from him.
Sporting as well from the Sarries players, they immediately stepped away from the situation as opposed to continue to compete.
Just looking down here to see which Munster player looks most likely to be warming up at the moment. Tommy O'Donnell and Chris Cloete both on the bench, but they also have Finian Wycherley as well, who can play in the back row. But Tommy O'Donnell, who had been named on the bench earlier yesterday afternoon, Chris Cloete only recently installed onto the subs bench in place of Peter O'Mahony, but it is Tommy O'Donnell who's come onto the pitch wearing number 20 this afternoon. Returns to the matchday squad this afternoon after Arno Botha's red card last week ruled him out. And as we can see, that left leg is strapped up in a brace, and Tyke Byrne is sitting upright in the stretcher, head in his hands. And
spoke too soon about the oxygen. Unfortunately, the leg is in a brace and they're putting oxygen on him now. So yeah, I mean, it does look like quite a severe injury.
I completely agree. I'm not physio, but from here it looks...
The knock-on effects also for Ireland as well. Tyke Byrne had been a player in excellent form since the World Cup. As the fans around Allianz Park applaud the Munster man as he gets stretchered off the pitch. And as Andy said, that oxygen being taken and play ready to get back underway, with Tommy O'Donnell joining the action. And it looks like Jack O'Donoghue is going to shift over to the blind side. Tommy O'Donnell packing down on the open side of the scrum. Opening scrum of the game, quite even. Munster retained possession. Was in and out with minimal fuss. No reset needed. We'll see how we get on this time as the sides pack down and Conor Murray feeds to CJ Stander.
A superb scrum from Munster.
And John Ryan has got a really good shove on Mako Vunipola here, and Munster drive it forward, and that's a penalty for Saracens. John Ryan it was who's been penalised for boring in on Mako Vunipola. Jack O'Donoghue trying to remonstrate with Pascal Gauzère.
Looks like an odd decision to me, Neil. They're driving them backwards with relative ease, certainly through John Ryan's side, and Sarries looked to pop first to me.
And Owen Farrell has opted not to go for the post. He was around just inside 40 metres, midway between the centre of the pitch and the near touchline, but he's opted a kick to touch and sends play just inside the Munster 22. And maybe looking to take advantage of Munster's fractured start to the game with a couple of players.
It's an awful decision just watching the replay on the screen. Saracens hooker popped up first. John Ryan was drilling his man, and somehow Sarries get a penalty. It's really, really poor decision.
Mako Vunipola was someone who had a lot of trouble in the World Cup final as well.
We mentioned before the game, I think it was an area where Munster were going to really target. They haven't obviously had the opportunity to do it or the appropriate territory, but in that first scrum there, within their own territory, they were absolutely dominant.
Yeah, Saracens dominating possession and territory in these opening 12 minutes as they lead 3-0 and get their maul moving once again, and a penalty advantage coming, and a penalty is given straight away. No advantage coming, the ball not coming out, and Munster do need to be careful already. That is 3 penalties given away in an attacking position. And once more Owen Farrell is going to pump this into touch and bring play just 5-6 metres out from the Munster try line. 12 minutes played, Saracens 3, Munster 0. 2 blows already for Munster in this game, one coming beforehand, Peter O'Mahony pulling up injured in the warm-up. And just 8 minutes into the game, an injury for Tyke Byrne, and from that line out another advantage coming from Munster as Nick Ezekwe was taken in the air. And another free shot if they want to go for it. Billy Vunipola now stopped well by Billy Holland and John Ryan as Munster wrap over the ball. Well, we are going to come back yet again for this Saracens penalty, and Munster really getting on the wrong side of Pascal Gauzère early on in this match. just being a little bit too eager at the line-out, taking the man out in the air before he'd reached the ground. And this time round, Owen Farrell is mulling over whether or not to go for the post. Although he turns towards the touchline as CJ Stander gets an early talking to from the referee.
I think it's not directly to CJ, it's more a warning for the team. I think it looks like Gozer is a bit trigger happy on the Munster breakdown, and I think he's threatening a yellow for the next offence.
And in the end, the decision has been taken that Owen Farrell, I think, is trying to figure out what call he has made. Maybe they're taking another couple of moments. Both sides just splitting for a second and breaking into a mini huddle. But no, it is going to be a Saracens line out. The ball kicked into touch. Just 5 metres out, Jamie George with the ball in hand. As the Saracens forwards slowly walk up into this line out, George Cruz and Nick Ezekwe beside each other. Mako Vunipola and Ezekwe lifting George Cruz, and they get that maul working straight away. Just 5-6 metres out, but the ball coming to ground again, and Munster turn it over. Saracens bringing the ball into that maul and doing nothing with it. And all the pats on the back are for Munster's Billy Holland, I think, is getting those pats on the back. And that is a huge stop for Munster.
Absolutely huge amount of energy as well. You see people as far away as Chris Farrell running in to pick up Munster forwards off the ground. Brilliant stuff to see. Rearguard really hanging in there from Munster. It was hard to notice exactly who it was. Looks like Billy Holland and
Jack O'Donoghue. It was a combination of two. You could see Billy Holland just getting in and using those arms to reach in and around, and eventually just getting himself onto the man in possession of the ball.
Well, it's a huge turnover at this stage of the game. They don't want to concede next 8-0, 10-0 down away from home. It's important Munster try and get out of here and get some territory, get some kind of handle on the game, at least in the opposition half.
And 3-0 it stays. 14 minutes on the clock here at Allianz Park. As we pause and get ready for this scrum, Munster do still have a bit of work to get out of their own 22 here, just 6-7 metres out from their own try line, midway between this near touchline and the centre of the pitch. Munster giving away a penalty at the last scrum, and this time opting not to drive too much with it. Simple in and out as Conor Murray CJ Stander feeds back to Conor Murray, who almost finds touch, but it's kept in play by Max Mallins just inside the Munster half of the pitch, as Tommy O'Donnell looks to get in over on top of that ball but doesn't succeed, and Wigglesworth now plays it out to Ben Earl, his flanker. Wigglesworth looks left but goes right. Jamie George back inside to Mako Vunipola, who scrambles for an extra half yard under the tackle of Niall Scannell. Ezekwe now, but he's stopped by John Klein. Billy Vunipola hard line, but it's skipped out to Owen Farrell. And Tompkins now tries to step left and right, but Holland and Ryan bring him to ground. Vunipola now out to Owen Farrell, but brilliant tackle by CJ Stander, and he's brought Owen Farrell back 4, 5, 6 yards on top of it. Saracens 10 metres inside the Munster half as one Vunipola offloads to the other, and Mako has possession and brings Saracens just inside the Munster 10-metre line, centre of the pitch. Vincent Koch now, the South African World Cup winner. The latest to carry is James Cronin. Thought he had possession of it, he thought he had the turnover, but Saracens retain the ball. Owen Farrell now to Jamie George, who again ekes out another half yard. And once more, Munster looking to spoil at every opportunity. Hasn't worked out yet, but a couple of good opportunities for first James Cronin and then Tommy O'Donnell to get in on top of the ball. Just need to be patient. Kipoku now. Saracens still just 10 metres inside their own half as Farrell finds Ezekwe, and once more he's tackled to the ground well, and again James Cronin gets in on top of it, and that's a penalty for Munster. And after we said it just a couple of moments ago how hard Munster were trying to get in on top of that ball and spoil it, and it's James Cronin who's managed to get in on top, get his hands over the ball, and a penalty for Munster 10 metres inside their own half, and a first real opportunity to get into Saracens territory.
Yeah, absolutely built on superb defence. Their line speed, really choking Sarries' attack. Sarries are barely able to get a second pass away before the contact happens, and every single time Munster are taking the Saracens men down one-on-one. They're not requiring 2 or 3 defenders to take down the likes of Vunipola. It means their fringe defenders can come in and try and slow down that ball, which they're doing very, very successfully. It's been excellent defence there from Munster in the last 5 minutes, and a very, very welcome breather for a couple of minutes for them now.
And as much as we've spoken about how much Stephen Larkham has brought maybe to Munster's attack so far this season, it's in defence where they really have excelled. They've conceded, coming into this game, 37 points, which had been the lowest any team has conceded in the tournament. And also their tackle record, 358 of 398, a 90% completion rate. That also the best in the tournament as well coming in.
That's outstanding stuff, all right, yeah. Anything over 80% in terms of success rate with tackling is considered top drawer, so 90 is fairly unheard of.
And that kick from JJ Hanrahan almost kept in play, but he does send possession. A good touch finder in the end, bringing play inside the Saracens 22. And for the first time in this game, Munster are going to have an opportunity to attack. They've done a lot of defending so far, a lot of tackles made, and not many missed. Looking at the stats, 72% territory for Saracens so far and 60% possession. Well, Munster making 56 tackles already. They've been kept very, very busy by this Saracen side. But Jack O'Donoghue claims that line out, and Saracens drive the Munster maul back a couple of yards, but they break straight away. Don't want to take the chance of turning over the ball just like Saracens did a couple of minutes ago. Murray now. A short carry again from CJ Stander, and Rory Scannell spills it and has it gone backwards. Pascal Gauzier stops play, and it looks like it's going to be a Munster knock on from Rory Scannell.
Well, Gauzier had his back turned to that as it happened, so I'd like to see him ask his touch judge for advice. To me it looked like it went backwards from Scannell and was then knocked on by the
and
Saracens
it looks
defender.
Like that's the decision he's going to make. He's going to give Munster the scrum here.
Yeah, that's the correct
centre
call.
of the pitch, just inside the Saracens 22.
He owed them that one after that first scrum. Shocker of a decision. I think he's asked his touch judge there. He definitely had his back to play as Scannell knocked it backwards. So thankfully he didn't penalise or call it against Scannell.
Looking through the early stats in this game as well, and we spoke about defence. James Cronin, 7 tackles already in this opening 19 minutes of the game at Allianz Park, and Jack O'Donoghue also 8 tackles.
As a classic, what you might call a Brumbies lineup in attack off the scrum. They've a midfield scrum. There's 4 players directly in single file behind the scrum. This is a famous old ACT Brumbies move.
And Larkham was a Brumbies man, wasn't he?
Larkham played for the Brumbies and was coached by Laurie Fisher, another ex-Munster forwards coach. But very much shades of the late 2000s or early 2000s with Gregan and Larkham here.
So scrum centre of the pitch, just inside the 22, and of that four in a straight line, Rory Scannell and Chris Farrell have drifted out to the left, and that's where Conor Murray is going to go, and he finds Rory Scannell, and Rory Scannell looks to bring possession up 10 metres from the Saracens line. As Conor Murray gets his hands on it at the base of this ruck, Munster first real spell of pressure. Mike Haley now edging his way forward on the far corner of the pitch. Another carry, and it's Tommy O'Donnell who gets over, and Munster appealing for a penalty. Pascal Gauzier says it was a knock backwards by one of the Munster players, and Mike Haley once more stopped Munster going backwards a couple of yards here. Play still over in that far corner in the direction where that wind is blowing, but we are going to come back for a Saracens knock on, and it's going to be a Munster scrum 5 metres out, midway between the centre of the pitch and that far corner of the pitch.
And I think this is where Munster would have relished and really tried to hunt out an early opportunity in the scrum, 5 yards from the Sarries 9, unlike when they unfairly penalised a couple of minutes back when John Ryan drilled his opposite man, Vunipola. This is a key moment now in the first half for Ryan to see if he can repeat what he did to Vunipola. Let's hope Gauzier is watching the same scrum as everyone else.
And this time make sure Gauzier sees the right thing. Well, Munster this time look like they're lining out with a more traditional set in the back line, although JJ Hanrahan does look he's just going to slot over onto the left side, and Rory Scannell will be first receiver on the right. This scrum midway between the centre of the pitch and the far touch line.
Yeah, they're still going with that kind of single file, almost like a little queue behind the scrum. I suppose if nothing else, it causes Sarries to use up some brain calories. I mean, they're probably huffing and puffing and tired. They can't work out where Munster are going to end up. I mean, they'll probably be able to react accordingly and adjust. But nonetheless, it challenges them mentally just to consider one extra factor while they're also trying to defend a really, really strong Munster scrum. So, smart play by Munster.
21 minutes played. Munster still leading by Saracens still leading by 3 points to nil, but Munster have weathered that early Saracen storm where they were camped on the Munster line, penalty after penalty. Owen Farrell choosing to go for the attacking option each time, but a first real chance now for Munster to go for it. And Conor Murray is backing his forwards to get the drive on, but this time he goes in and he snipes to the right, and in support is Keith Earls as the Munster forwards come around, and Tommy O'Donnell gets his hands on it, and a strong handoff brings play inside that 5 metre line. Munster working their way back towards the goal posts. Jack O'Donoghue now a short carry. James Cronin the latest to go. But Saracens making their tackles.
Looks like a penalty advantage, is it?
A penalty advantage coming from Munster possibly. Yes, it is. Gozair has his left arm out, and Conor Murray, they can have a cut here. And back inside to Rory Scannell, who's tackled brilliantly though by Makavuna Pola and George Cruz. And out to Keith Earls on this left wing, but he cuts back inside. Munster still playing with advantage. Gone backwards a few yards if anything, but Gozair happy enough to let Munster have a go. Klein the latest to carry, and out to JJ Hanrahan. Looks like Munster going to try to get this wide, and a lovely pass out to Andrew Conway, and Andrew Conway going for the line. Is he going to get there? No, he stopped just 2 metres short from Max Mullins, but Munster scrambling for the line here. Conor Murray finds Tommy O'Donnell inching his way towards. Klein now gets in over the top, and Murray looking left and right. Mike Haley now out on this right touchline. Munster just 2 metres out on this near touchline, coming back in left. And the Munster fans start to make themselves heard for the first time today. And Billy Holland now gets it outside, and again they move towards the try line. But Saracens holding firm. We're still playing advantage. Munster can still have a go here, risk free. And Murray looks left and right. He's got Rory Scannell to his right and Andrew Conway. But Saracens have numbered up on that on this near side. And Stander now the latest to go. And Munster right on this try line, and they're held up. But we're going to come back for this Munster penalty.
You could have thrown a blanket over most of the Munster side there. I mean, they can afford to get narrow. They were trying to just nip in from 1 yard out, but you rarely see 13 guys that close to each other on a rugby field.
And the penalty straight in front of the post, it looks like, and it's going to be a simple one for JJ Hanrahan if he wants to take it. And while we wait for Munster to decide on that, we're going to break away and get the latest from the Premier League. Leicester up against Norwich City at the King Power Stadium. There's been a goal there. Derek Clark.
Leicester City 0, Norwich City 1. This wasn't in the script. It's Timo Pukki with the goal. Fantastic defence splitting pass, it has to be said, from Buendia. He found the fin and he simply rolled the ball past Michael into the corner of the net to make it Leicester City 0, Norwich City 1.
Andy Dunne triumphantly punches the air there. And we are going to have another change for Munster though. John Ryan is hobbling off the pitch to be replaced by Stephen Archer.
That's nothing short of disastrous in terms of Munster's tactical approach today. Ryan has completely dominated Vunipola in the first couple of scrums, and they've lost him too. So really behind the 8 ball at the moment in terms of just bad luck.
The sheer look of frustration on John Ryan's face as he walks under our commentary position here with the jacket on. Absolutely furious to be leaving the pitch, and it's certainly an injury. He's carrying a limp. He was getting treatment just a moment ago as JJ Hanrahan lines up this kick straight in front of the post. A routine opportunity to level this game up.
It's been really,
and he does so. 3 points apiece, 25 minutes played at Allianz Park.
A really admirable rearguard action there in terms of the first 5-6 minutes. It was all Sarries, it was all territory deep in the Munster 22. They've shown huge character already in this game, but if they are going to come out of this game with a result, it could be one of the greatest ever results, considering they've lost the two key pillars of their tactical performance today already.
And their tight head prop already this afternoon. How will that affect the players' tiredness with 2 substitutions already made inside these opening 25 minutes? We would have seen last night how Harlequins wilted in the second half against Ulster, having lost a couple of players to failed HIAs. Although the Harlequin side that was out against Ulster yesterday certainly wasn't of the calibre of what Munster have put out this afternoon. As Rory Scannell sends possession out of play on that far side of the pitch, just outside the Munster 22 attacking line out for Saracens.
They put Munster under pressure, and the Munster have kicked the ball out. As you said, it's just outside the Munster 22, and so Saracens have now got a chance to apply a bit of pressure.
Jamie George to throw into this line out, and they go short and straight into the hands of Ben Earl. It was who took it, and no lift line out. I think we're seeing a bit of a resurgence of that play in the last year or so. And a huge carry from Billy Vunipola, but stopped brilliantly there it was by CJ Stander. But Tompkins the latest to carry as Saracens just get inside the Munster 22 again. And Mako Vunipola now carries and stopped. Noel Scannell it was, and John Klein. And Jamie George skipped out to Owen Farrell, and a lovely chance for Max Mullins here to step inside. Max Mullins has evaded a couple of tackles and tries to roll his way towards the try line. Saracens just a yard out now on this near touch line. Wigglesworth tries to go back inside, and it's intercepted by Chris Farrell, but we are going to come back as Pascal Gauzère just has a quick word with his assistant referee to see what his decision is. Wigglesworth seemed to throw a pass which was eventually taken by Chris Farrell, and we're actually going to go have a look at the TMO here to see what happened.
Well, Max Mullins made a lovely line break, just squeezed in, it looked like, but if I saw it, my eyes didn't deceive me. It looked like Chris Farrell made a fairly miraculous last-ditch save just before the line. It'll be interesting to see what comes of this.
Just checking to see what happened here as we wait for this replay to come up on screen. The players breaking away, and once more it could have been a miraculous escape from Munster, as we see Wigglesworth with his hands on the ball, and we're waiting for him to use it. Oh, and a hand came in from one of the Munster players, the hand from Chris Farrell, I think it was, just grabbing the arm of Richard Wigglesworth as he was passing that ball, which led to Chris Farrell's picking up and collecting the ball.
Well, Farrell looks like he's coming from behind the hindmost foot, so if Wigglesworth picks it up and then gets the ball knocked,
it was the hand. The hand appears to have been Keith Earls, I should say, who got his hands on Wigglesworth. And Gauzère is jogging from that far corner of the pitch where the big screen is right back into this near corner of the pitch, and he's decided it's a Saracens knock on, and it's going to be a Munster scrum 5 metres out.
Yeah, I think
again, Andy, another brilliant piece of defensive play for Munster.
Yeah, Farrell with a miraculous last-ditch tackle. It looked impossible for Max Mullins not to score, but I suppose his long frame, long limbs, he managed a huge amount of strength to hold him up, and then from the resultant ruck, Munster very, very clever, knocking the ball from Wigglesworth's hand, and they did it legally. They came from the hindmost foot in order to do that.
It was grabbing Wigglesworth on the forearm rather than attacking the ball itself and slapping it.
Absolutely, and he took that step once he picked it, so it became legal. So smart, resilient stuff from Munster.
But once more, they have a bit of work to do to get out of this 22 as the scrum is reset, taking a small collapse. A first scrum for Stephen Archer this afternoon, having come on for John Ryan a couple of moments ago. Very disappointing end to the game for John Ryan in what was his 150th game for the province. But Stephen Archer, who brought up his double century just a couple of weeks ago, is on once again. He started last week against Saracens. He's also played every game so far this season.
I don't think there'll be any doubts about Archer coming in. It's just probably not maybe as destructive as Ryan can be, but certainly 200 caps for Munster, and in the front row he's no slouch, well able for this game.
Absolutely, as Munster get a half a yard of a nudge, but Conor Murray is going to use it, and goes there, tells him to get rid of the ball, and he puts it out to Rory Scannell, who makes a hard carry and just gets Munster those extra 2-3 yards as Conor Murray sends a box kick down towards this touchline. Once again though, it stays in field, and Mullins gets his hands on it and offloads well to Elliot Daly, who's been quiet enough so far, hasn't seen much of the ball. Oh, with that wind pushing over towards the far touchline. With Billy Vunipola now. Carries up and brings possession 10 metres inside the Munster half. Once more, Wigglesworth has possession. And back towards the halfway line to Owen Farrell, who out to Tompkins, and Tompkins gets it to Nick Ezekwe, and he's stopped by Conor Murray, who gets the ball back, and Vunipola once more, Billy Vunipola, and another huge collision, but Munster stop him in his tracks, and Vunipola a little bit slow to get up. He's just jogging back into position now. Ball centre of the pitch, around 30 metres from the Munster try line. Munster being quite patient, not trying to go after the ball at the ruck like they had been a few minutes ago. As play goes over onto the far side of the pitch, and Vincent Koch, the latest to carry up. Not many chances being taken by either sides, but this time Owen Farrell might have a cut and gives it to Mallins, who finds Ezekwe, and Conor Murray stops him well and grapples him, and Pascal Gauzier is given advantage to Saracens for a high tackle. And they move back inside their own half, and the whistle is blown, and it's going to be a penalty for Saracens. A high tackle against Conor Murray. The Saracens look to move it quickly, but no, they're going to stop, and it's just going to be a penalty. Nothing more against Conor Murray. And Owen Farrell has the ball in his hands, and he's going to point towards the post. And while the tee comes on, we're going to go back to the King Power Stadium. Another goal between Leicester and Norwich. Derek Clark.
Leicester City 1, Norwich City 1. It didn't take them long to get back on level terms, and it's that man again, Jamie Vardy, with the goal. It was a corner kick from Chilwell onto the head of Vardy, near post, bullet header. Leicester City 1, Norwich City 1.
What do you make of that, Liverpool fan Andy Dunne?
I'm disappointed. I thought Timo Pukki was going to do it for us this afternoon, maybe banging a hat-trick, but
I think only Liverpool fans could be this worried about a lead that big.
Yes, correct. 30 years of pain. Tell me about it.
You haven't missed anything though while we were away getting that Premier League update. Owen Farrell just addressing the ball. Tee just on the pitch. He is 40 metres out, relatively straight in front of his post, maybe just to the left of the post ever so slightly. But he's probably going to be kicking right back across into that wind. And a chance for Saracens to get back in front. 3-3 at the moment, just past the 31-minute mark at Allianz Park. Very little to choose between the sides so far. Saracens having dominated Munster in the opening 10 to 15 minutes before Munster really came back into it. But since Munster's three-pointer, Saracens have just about had the better of play as that penalty drifts wide and right from Owen Farrell. And the sides remain level, 3 points apiece. As tight as it was 7 days ago in Thomond Park. And a 22 dropout for JJ Hanrahan.
Dare I say Munster deserved that little bit of fortune, I think, after the two pretty unfortunate injuries at this stage, so they'll take what they can get.
And Hanrahan sends that drop kick to the left side of the pitch as Keith Earls almost gets his hands on it, but spilled in the end, and it's going to be a Saracen scrum about 7 or 8 metres inside the Munster half on the far side of the pitch, just inside from the touchline. Keith Earls just misjudging it. It had been George Cruz who had gone up for Saracens, and he'd missed the flight of the ball, and Keith Earls, who was just running in around the back of Cruz in case it went over the top, just lost it at the last second.
It's been interesting to see in phase play how, I suppose, one of Munster's traditional greatest strengths is their front five, but Billy Holland and John Klein full on targeting Vunipola when he carries. I mean, we're in a temporary stand here. It looks like the corrugated iron shakes when those collisions are happening.
Every time Billy Vunipola gets his hands on the ball.
Most sides will look to stop him or soak him up. It looks like Munster are actually physically going after him, and he's dusting himself off, climbing off the ground. They're going for their biggest threat. They're going for the kill with him, and so far they've actually stopped him in his tracks successfully. Whether they can do it for the next 60 or 50 minutes, we'll see.
Munster ping there for just pushing early at the scrum. But we are just going to reset here. A free kick for Saracens, and we're going to pack down for a scrum once again. Again, play just under 10 metres inside this Munster half on the far side of the pitch. And one of the first Saracen put-ins of the afternoon. Indeed, it is their first scrum of the afternoon. Munster having had 6 in their own so far as they get the penalty advantage. Munster offside just off the back of that after that first phase. And Wigglesworth loops it out to Makavunapola now, who carries up and is tackled by James Cronin. No advantage coming. We're going to come back for the penalty for Saracens. 10 metres inside this Munster half, far touchline. Ball straight into the hands of Owen Farrell. And you'd imagine going down the touchline, this would be a very, very difficult kick.
I think, yeah, Elliot Daly's coming over from the near touchline here. 70-metre jog and use that left foot into the right-hand corner. Smart play by Sarries.
Elliot Daly it is who has his hands on the ball now, and he's going to kick into this corner. But it looks like, has he completely misjudged that?
Yeah,
and it looks like that ball has gone dead, and it's going to be a Munster scrum right back where it was kicked, 10 metres inside their own half.
But he's over clubbed that by about
considerably.
20-30 metres. That's landed in the car park.
Can you blade it with your foot?
Yeah, I mean, he's
like a sandwich that you just catch right in the middle of the ball.
That's exactly how I describe it. He absolutely smashed it. It's there's a big screen on the just behind the corner flag, and it's cleared that.
And a massive blunder from Elliot Daly there. Just his 3rd appearance for the club, having joined from Wasps in the summer. We've seen how big of a boot he has, both off the tee and from the hand.
Oh, we saw Liam Williams walk by us earlier and Alex Good commentating beside us for BBC. You'd almost wonder how they had the funds to sign someone like Elliot Daly.
You would wonder how that could all happen. But here we are.
Just the 3 British Lions in the back 3.
Just the 3 British Lions potentially on the left wing, or at full back even. And Munster get it in and out from that scrum, and Chris Farrell now loops a pass out, and Andrew Conway does well to pick it up, and stands up Elliot Daly, who does well to bring him to ground, but Daly doesn't release. And Munster on the halfway line now on this near touchline. Murray's pass is a little low to JJ Hanrahan, but he keeps hold of the ball and gives it to Jack O'Donoghue, who's stopped by Joel Kapoku. And back to Chris Farrell now, who gets a couple of yards and brings possession up onto this halfway line. Murray out to Billy Holland, who fakes to the left to John Klein. But Murray coming back to the right now, and Farrell once again tackled by Alex Lazowski and brought to ground. And Murray has Klein and O'Donoghue outside him. And Billy Vunipola just slides off that tackle from O'Donoghue as O'Donnell gets in to help Conor Murray out, and Murray prepares to kick and launches it up. George Cruz went for the block down but didn't quite get there. Max Mallins, as the ball drops just outside the 22, has caught it well and steps outside, and a few Saracens fans calling for a high tackle potentially, but they're told to play on. Saracens just outside their own 22 here, midway between the centre of the pitch and this near touchline. It remains Munster 3, Saracens 3. 3 minutes to go until half time here at Allianz Park. And the high ball taken by Haley brilliantly, wrapped up by Daly. But Murray once again is going to send that back down towards the Saracens 22 as Mallins has to put his hand up over his eyes with those floodlights blocking the ball. And now a chance here is as they get it out to Wigglesworth on this near touchline and brings possession up towards the halfway line. Cruz now stands in at scrum half and finds Farrell, and Farrell to Ezekwe, but he's tackled well by CJ Stander, who has been everywhere in defence in this opening half. And Farrell sends a high ball cross pitch towards the far touchline, and Keith Earls gets under that well and manages to step out of a tackle but has lost a couple of yards. And Murray again goes towards that blind side and has Stander, who's brought down after a couple of metres. And they're going back infield, 15 metres inside their own half. 2 minutes to go until half time in what's been a very, very tense pool game here in the Heineken Champions Cup. Murray's kick is just bobbled around by a couple of players before eventually it goes out of play, and we're going to stop for a Saracen scrum. Both sides knocking on, but Munster the first to do so. It's going to be a Saracen scrum right on this halfway line, as we see Keith Earls and Max Mallins both going up to contest that, and it just tipping off Keith Earls' fingertips.
I think we've chatted fairly extensively now about Munster's approach today and the emphasis on that front five performance, which they've stepped up to the plate remarkably in this first 38 minutes. But we can't ignore the quality of play that we're seeing in the backfield from both Conway and Earls. Saracens have peppered both wingers, a number of high balls, Wigglesworth's left foot, Farrell's right boot, and they've almost tidied up everything that's come their way with ease. Conway looks like one of the only players who's come out of the World Cup probably feeling positive about his own game. He had an excellent run in the World Cup, where most of our side obviously didn't, and Earls is from year to year has just shown that experience, that calmness, that leadership in the group. But it adds such solidity defensively to the Munster side, and such reassurance when your back three are going to tidy up everything. There's very few loose decisions, very little loose play in general back there. It gives the team a huge defensive lift.
And with less than 90 seconds to go until half time, and Saracens in possession on this halfway line, you'd imagine Munster will be pleased if they can get in to the half-time break, just level at 3-3. They would be playing with the wind into this second half, but you can see it does appear to have died down ever so slightly. Those goalposts not moving like they were before kick-off, as the darkness just starts to descend on Allianz Park.
I'd be calling to try and keep the ball in the scrum and see if you could milk the penalty, because it means you can kick the ball down into the Munster half, and you can put them under.
Again, we pause as Pascal Gauzier has a word with the front rows. Looks like Saracens choosing not to have any winger on the blind side. Sean Maitland has drifted in, just hanging off the shoulder of Owen Farrell. Standing just directly behind him. To the left of Farrell then is Tompkins. And it's into Owen Farrell's hands, and he finds Maitland, who carries up that move, just not quite working out. The ball messy coming out to Farrell, but Saracens do hold on to possession just inside their own half as they move infield. Makavunapola the latest to carry, and Kipoku stands over, and back to Farrell, who launches a high kick back in the direction of Andrew Conway, and Chris Farrell tries to support, but it's spilled into the hands of Lazowski, and back off Chris Farrell, and in the end off Elliot Daly and into touch, indicating for a Munster line-out. But Andy, I thought there was a knock on there from Andrew Conway off that catch.
Possibly I had to put the mockers on him just there, but it looked like in full speed. We haven't seen a replay, it's hard to tell. Possibly came off, I think goes there, consulted the touch judge. He said it came off the back of the Saracens chase, so possibly getting away with that one. You'd like to think Munster are just going to go for very basic line out to the front here and knock it into touch. I think Van Gran, Larkham and Roundtree would be delighted with that first half. Take 3-3 all day going into this game, and I think Munster, if anything, is going to have more energy going into that second half based on the physicality of their first half.
This the last play of the opening half. The clock in the red. Niall Scannell preparing to throw into this Munster line now, 10 metres inside their own half on this near touchline of the pitch, and he goes short. No lift into the hands of Jean Klein. And Munster safely retain possession, and they're going to look to maul it, and they're mauling it well here, bringing play up 10 yards at this stage towards the halfway line, and Cruz gets his hands over it, and Conor Murray is looking towards the touchline and sends it straight out just above our heads, and both sides sprint their way down into that far corner of the pitch where the changing rooms are. Half time here at Allianz Park. Munster 3, Saracens 3. And Andy, as you said just a couple of moments ago, you imagine the Munster coaching team are going to be the far happier.
Absolutely. I mean, notwithstanding the loss of O'Mahony before the game in the warm-up, and then John Ryan after 19 minutes, who was hugely dominant in the scrum. Stephen Archer's come on and continued suit really in terms of what Ryan had done. The scrum hasn't taken a step backwards. Their defensive speed, their aggression off the line has been huge. The front five in general, in terms of their defence, targeting Billy Vunapola very obviously and with great effect. And in general play, they've also asked a few questions of the Sarries defence. Some smart stuff, some Larkham style we can see off set piece. So all in all, in terms of 3-3, a very entertaining 3-3, I think a very even 3-3, and a huge amount for Munster to shout about going into the second half.
Has this been pure traditional Munster rugby?
I think at times it has, yeah. I mean,
in a good, I'd say that in a good way.
In the absolutely best and truest sense of Munster identity, that front five have stepped up to the plate. They've stopped, years and years ago, we remember the famous Paul O'Connell tackle on Sebastian Chabal, where he almost picked him up and jogged with him 10 yards down the field, and he was a talisman for that Sale side in that famous game in Thomond Park. But much the same, you look at a number 8 like Billy Vunipola today, and every time he's carried, we've seen one huge collision, CJ Stander one-on-one. We've seen Jan Klein and Biddy Holland double team. And that's what you need to do. You need to come to a place like this, step up to the bully, stop him physically, and then see where you are afterwards. I think if they can sustain that kind of battering Biddy Vunipola is able to give, and if they can manage to hold him, I think it goes a long way to unlocking how to beat a Sarri side.
We'll have more discussion to come with Andy after the break, and we'll also have the second half here at Allianz Park, where at the moment it's all to play for between Saracens and Munster. 3-3 the score at half-time.
Saracens versus Munster, live from Allianz Park.
On Off the Ball.
Tech Talk
with Jess Kelly.
Are you one of the 100,000 Irish people using digital bank N26? On this week's show, I chat to the company to hear about their plans for the future and who, if anyone, they share our personal data with. Plus, Colin Baker stops by to talk about e-scooters and refurbishing rather than buying.
Tech Talk
with Jess Kelly.
Thanks to mintplus.ie.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast now, or tune in this evening at 5.
on News Talk.
Productive afternoons with Harvey Norman. Need more you time? Ask about our range of large capacity washing machines with quick wash functions in Harvey Norman today. Now, where's the remote?
Go, Harvey, go!
A premature baby's heart is tiny and fragile. At the Rotunda Hospital, we carry out over 750 baby heart scans each year, but we need your help. We're raising funds for a new echocardiography machine to help save more babies' lives. To donate, search the Rotunda Hospital on GoFundMe.com. Thank you.
Did you ever do something beyond the ordinary? Like swing from the chandeliers, bounce from bed to bed, or soar through a summer sky? Come, get carried away with life at Corteo by Cirque du Soleil. An extravagant spectacle featuring astonishing acrobatics. 3 Arena Dublin from the 8th of July. Tickets from $45.20 on sale now. Additional charges may apply. Corteo thanks their official partner, Skoda.
At Virgin Media, we believe in fair play. That's why we are freeing sport for all our TV customers. Want football as standard on your plan? Done. Sit back and enjoy all the thrilling action from the UEFA Champions League and UEFA Europa League on Virgin Media Sport. Together, we've got every kick, tackle, shot, and goal. So it's the perfect time to join. See virginmedia.ie. We free sports.
Have a cracking Christmas with Centra. We have great offers, like Centra smoked salmon 300 gram half price now €5.49. Inspired by Centra award-winning Christmas pudding half price at €4. And our cracking offer until Sunday, Griffin Prosecco, Las Maras Data and Villa Maria wine, any 2 for €15. Centra, live every day. Enjoy girls sensibly.
Play it, wear it, live it. Whatever you're looking to buy, why not Flexify it? Choose a payment plan that suits you from a wide range of retailers across Ireland. Buy now and pay later with Flexify.com. Terms and conditions apply. See Flexify.com.
With more surprises that can fit in Santa's sleigh, Swords Pavilions is the perfect family day out. Spend time exploring our new Christmas quarter and Ireland's biggest skate rink, Swords on Ice. Then head inside to warm up in front of a fantastic film at Movies at Swords. Or grab a bite to eat in one of our many restaurants. With Milano, Five Guys and Zaytoon now open, you're sure to find something to keep the whole family happy. Swords Pavilions, just off the M50 with 2 hours free parking.
These are the sounds of the morning. These are the sounds of the night before. And these are the sounds of the morning after the night before. 10% of fatal alcohol-related crashes happen between 7 and 11 a.m. No matter how you might feel, the morning after is one of the most dangerous times to drive. Don't do it. From the Road Safety Authority.
More powerful than a diesel for a fraction of the running costs. No wonder the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV is the world's best-selling plug-in hybrid SUV.
All you need this Christmas is carry-out off-licence. Make your money go further with our incredible deals on box beers, multi-pack cans and wines from all over the world. Plus our amazing Eastern European selection, such as the fantastic Perla beer range, now in stock. Fill your cupboard for less this festive season. Carry out off-licence. Simply better wines and beers. Simply better value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
This Christmas, give a book or 2 or 3 from Eason with our amazing 3 for 2 offer, which includes Etna Shortall's 3 Little Truths, Filter This by Sophie White, and thrillers like David Baldacci's A Minute to Midnight, Linwood Barclay's Elevator Pitch, as well as Owen Colfer's latest, The Fowl Twins. The best Christmas story is the one you give. Eason, be inspired.
This Christmas, don't give them lifts everywhere. Give them driving lessons from the Irish School of Motoring. Buy gift vouchers online at ism.ie or call ISM on 1850 100 100.
At Christmas, is it better to give than receive? At the Irish Blood Transfusion Service, we know the answer is definitely in the giving. So please, in the run-up to Christmas and over the holiday period, make time to give blood. It's a busy time for you, but it's also a time when we need our donors most to build up our blood supplies for the 200 people each day who will desperately need to receive a blood transfusion over Christmas. Blood is the most precious gift you can give. Visit giveblood.ie for more information. Thank you for your continued support this Christmas.
It takes knowledge to find a truly special Christmas gift. At CompuBee, we like to think we've got a special gift of our own, helping you find that perfect present. From iPads to AirPods, Apple Watch to MacBooks, our staff have the advice and expertise to make sure you choose something they'll really love. So if you need a truly special gift, put CompuBee at the top of your Christmas list. When you think Apple, think CompuBee, your Apple experts. Visit your local store or compubee.com.
The next chapter is about to begin. Guns N' Roses, The Return. Guns N' Roses bring an all-new show to Ireland. Saturday, June 27th, Marley Park. Subject to license. Tickets from $99.50 on sale this Wednesday at 9 a.m. Additional charges may apply. Guns N' Roses, Marley Park. It will be epic.
Saracens versus Munster, live from Allianz Park.
On Off the Ball.
You're very welcome back to Allianz Park. It remains Munster 3, Saracens 3 at half-time in this tense Heineken Champions Cup pool encounter. Andy Dunne alongside me. Still a few minutes away from the second half getting underway, but just to bring you up to date, you can have your say at the moment because we're counting down at the moment to Ireland's most memorable sporting moment of this decade. We're down to the final 8 of our World Cup, quarter-final clash. This is the third game of that. So at the moment, today's quarter-final is Tipperary's 2010 All-Ireland hurling title when they stopped Kilkenny's bid for a 5 in a row. Or Robbie Brady's goal against Italy at Euro 2016. What way are you leaning, Andy Dunne?
Tip.
You're leaning Tip all the way? Is that anything to do with a fiancé? A fiancé?
Yes, a little bit.
who would have a lot to say if you went
a large Tipperary family.
Oh, a large Tipperary family as well, is this?
Yes.
Not Robbie Brady, though? The joy
I
that
know,
brought?
I do. That Robbie Brady moment was pretty significant, and the very, very famous embrace with his family in tears after, I think was on the front page of the Irish Times.
More so
photo of the decade, maybe.
More so than the goal. That was in and of itself like the sporting image of the decade, I think, in Irish sport.
One of the great moments, all right, and seeing that emotion and the magic that sport can do for families and a nation. So.
But you can have your say on that. We have a poll going on our Twitter page and Instagram on Off the Ball. You get us at Off the Ball. It's a pinned tweet, so you can find it right there. And at the moment, it's one-way traffic because with just under 40 minutes left in our poll, Robbie Brady against Italy is 76% of the vote in favour of 24 for Tipperary's All-Ireland winners in 2010. But we'll bring you up to date on that before the end of the show this evening, and you can keep following us on all of our social channels at Off the Ball and offtheball.com, where we're going to crown Ireland's best sporting moment of the last 10 years this Thursday evening on Off the Ball. But Here back at Allianz Park, Saracens 3, Munster 3. We were saying before the ad break there, Munster definitely going to be going in the happier. And just as we were looking through some of those stats at half-time, it shows just how little there is between the teams. We're looking at the tackles made. Munster have missed 10 tackles out of 95. Saracens have missed just 5 tackles, I think it is.
Yeah, and even at that, 10 tackles sounds like a lot. I mean, they've probably been, a tackle where one player hasn't fully completed the tackle. He's maybe stopped a Sarries player in his tracks, and a second man's come in and made the immediate hit. So sometimes the stats can be misleading. I think Munster's defence by and by is being airtight. There's been one line break by the kind of silken running of Max Mallins, a non-English capped yet, I would imagine, but soon to be. Looks like a really exciting player for Sarries. But other than that line break from Mallins, the game's being characterised by hugely disciplined defence, very organised defence, and a lot of courage in terms of just the physical hits, the aggression that's going in. So there's a really nice mix there for Munster in terms of how they're reading Sarries' attack, how they're set up defensively, and then, like all defences matter most, is how hard you're prepared to hit. So I think overall they're going to be probably the happier side going into the second half. I think there's more energy they can sap from that Sarries pack. There's more. I'd like to see JJ Hanrahan maybe kick the ball a little bit more in the second half as opposed to just Murray. The old magic European days, the Halcyon days of Raj as well, in tandem with Stringer, where they mixed around who kicked for territory. Currently, JJ has only really used players either side of him to carry it up into rucks. I'd like to see him maybe challenge that Sarries back three, move them around, and it can always galvanise a pack, particularly in a tight game.
And as you pointed out just before half-time as well, you mentioned how if Munster were to get over the line and win this, it is right up there with some of the best results they've had. How highly would you actually put this up if they were to go and do it, based on the size of the challenge instantly away from home European champions, but also losing Peter O'Mahony before kick-off, losing Tyke Byrne in the opening 10 minutes, and then losing your title prop John Ryan midway through the first half?
It's going to be right up there. If they manage to pull off a win here, it's going to be right up there in terms of maybe their top 5 European wins. They don't have that fever pitch at Munster, Thomond Park atmosphere behind them. It's at times an eerily quiet stadium here, just the nature of the temporary stands, and we're in a deserted old leisure centre, it feels like. But it'd be great there is plenty of Munster fans here. Maybe we'll hear their voice, but in terms of what they've come up against with the O'Mahony injury and what looks like very, very unfortunately a serious injury to Tyke Byrne, John Ryan, who was absolutely central to their whole tactical approach today, to lose him after 18 minutes when he was doing a real job on Vunipola. So if they can take all those barriers on and still be triumphant, it's going to be one of their greatest ever days.
And also the other one to consider, 3-3 at the moment. The longer we go on in this game and the tighter it stays, and if we're around level scores, I mean, a draw really isn't much use to either team this afternoon.
No, I don't. It looks to me, and there's a real sense that both sides probably can't sustain that level of intensity in defence, and it looks for all money that maybe one line break is going to be crucial to a change and a shift in the momentum of this match. I don't anticipate both sides are going to just be a shutout for 14 minutes. There might be, obviously, discipline is going to be hugely important, and Gozer is erratic at best as a referee in that first 40 minutes. So keep the discipline, try and hold the line in defence, and try and pick something off maybe for another legendary Munster day.
Well, here's hoping we can get that second half about to get underway. Pascal Gozer just counting the players, 30 on the pitch, as Owen Farrell has the ball in his hands. Saracens playing from left to right, and with whatever wind is going to be left in the ground. Looks like it has died down quite a lot compared to this afternoon, when it was really gusting strong before kickoff. And hand up, and Owen Farrell sends it down into the left side of the pitch, where Andrew Conway gets up and takes really well. And Munster hold possession just inside their own 22. Gozer indicates they're inside the 22, and will have the option to kick directly into touch. Murray now just fishing at the bottom of that ruck. This play slows down a bit and launches a low kick straight into touch, bring possession 10 metres inside Munster's half of the pitch.
Yes, and it's going to be an interesting challenge in this second half. As you said, Saracens have
But Munster now defending the line-out. Saracens go with it quickly, and Ezekwe gets it straight into the hands of Wigglesworth, who finds Owen Farrell, and once again Vunapola and JJ Hanrahan does his best to stop him before he's eventually supported. And George now out to Farrell, and Farrell skips out the outside to Daly, and Daly with a beautiful pass out the back door to Max Mullins, and Max Mullins, who was brilliant the first half, just got the offload away, but it's spilled by Saracens, and Billy Holland or John Klein dives on it and wins back possession for Munster just inside their 22 on this near side of the pitch, 15 metres in from the touchline. Holland now gets in and seals off that ruck, as does O'Donnell. Murray now bring the ball back into his 22 and sending that box kick towards halfway under Mallins, who takes it brilliantly once again. He's been so assured under the high ball this afternoon. And Wigglesworth to Farrell, who finds Daly on a left-footed kick, driven low and driven deep towards that corner of the pitch, but kept in by Haley. He's going to send a clearance kick, kept in field and into the hands of Daly, who brings Saracens back into the Munster half of the pitch. Centre of the field, Kipoke with the carry, and flying over the top there was Vincent Koch. And a short little box kick is taken with ease by Conway, who sends it low back up the pitch, kicking back and forth at the moment. Farrell the latest to send a high up and under, but once more Haley is equal to it. Munster possession, centre of the pitch, 10 metres inside their own half. Murray goes to the left into the hands of Stander, who skips it outside to Keith Earls on the wing, and he has a little bit of space to bring possession up into the Saracens half of the pitch, and chips over the top, and he's tackled by Ezekwe. Play on, says Gozer, before he eventually blows his whistle. His assistant referee had the flag out as soon as that tackle went in from Ezekwe on Keith Earls.
Do you know, I think Earls, I'm not suggesting in any way he dived, he played for that, he ran in and allowed the contact to happen. I think he sacrificed himself, knew the hit was going to come late.
A very brave move to just allow yourself to be clattered by Nick Ezekwe.
I think he knew Ezekwe had him targeted, he knew he was going to kick, and he just kept running straight, knowing he was going to get hit late by him. That's smart play by Earls, again showing a lot of experience.
And JJ Hanrahan points towards the posts, and Munster are going to have the first chance at taking the lead in this second half. JJ Hanrahan, 7 out of 8 so far in the tournament.
It was a brave choice by Hanrahan to pass to Earls initially, because there was space in the backfield. Similarly, there was space for Earls too, so he had two choices and he went for the more expressive, adventurous one.
And this kick 30 metres out from the try line, midway between the centre of the pitch and this near touch line. Hanrahan right-footed, stands over the ball, takes one last look up at the posts. With 44 minutes, the chance to put Munster in front for the first time in the game, and he strikes it beautifully, and it's straight between the posts. And for the first time this evening, Munster leads Saracens here at Allianz Park. JJ Hanrahan's second penalty of the afternoon, and it's Munster who lead by 6 points to 3.
Beautiful strike by Hanrahan. The wind is left to right, so it's not typical for a right-footed kicker to start it left and drift it right to go over them. Possibly learned from Farrell's mistake in the first half.
And a brilliant kick from Owen Farrell sends that right up into the sky, but it was taken well by Munster, who hold possession just inside their 22 as Conor Murray prepares to clear the lines once again. Midway between the touchline and that far side of the pitch. And Farrell again sends it down into the throat of the Munster back three as Haley takes it comfortably before just scrambling out of the tackle and winning a couple of extra yards. And goes there, tells a couple of players to get out of there before Holland now brings possession outside the Munster 22, working back from right to left, drifting infield. Murray going to send up another kick for Mallins to get under, and he's been absolutely perfect under the high ball this afternoon. Everything Munster have put towards him, he has got his hands on. Saracens in possession on the halfway line, and another kick. So much kicking in this opening 5 minutes of the second half, and very, very few mistakes from either side. Mike Haley the latest to collect that one. And the sides just just trading kicks. The latest carry brings Munster just outside their 22, over on that far touchline. And once more, Murray is going to send this one down the throat of Max Mallins. Just Mallins and Sean Maitland back covering at the moment, and again the young Englishman takes it. Has looked so assured in his first European start, as Ezekwe now carries and brings Saracens inside the Munster half, and this time Farrell is going to use it and gives it to Kapoku, who's tackled brilliantly and ripped out of his hands by Chris Farrell. And now Rory Scannell has possession. Munster right on the halfway line, coming back towards this left touchline. Farrell grubbering down towards Mallins. Sean Maitland just shepherding him, and Mallins steps out brilliantly and throws an offload, but it looks like that's gone forward, and in any event it's gone into touch.
I think this is a classic moment here where Munster can turn the screw. They've for once they haven't used, I mean, Murray's box kick superbly today, but they've peppered that tactic, and nice to see a change in tack with Chris Farrell kicking down a grubber into the opposite corner, and Mallins for once, who's had a huge game, taking responsibility off the shoulders of more experienced guys such as Elliot Daly by fielding a lot of his catches, but for once he's made a ill-advised attempted line break and passed it straight into touch. So great chance for Munster here. 22 metres out, line out on the left hand side.
Yeah, on this near touch line. Niall Scannell just standing outside the 22. He has options CJ Stander or James Cronin at the front. CJ Stander, Jean-Claude, Jack O'Donoghue, and it's O'Donoghue goes up at 2 in the line out, and the Munster players quick to support him and get the ball back to Niall Scannell as they look to maul their way inside into Saracens territory. Drifting towards the touchline, they just need to be careful. Conor Murray redirecting them and takes the ball out and snipes to the right, drifts back in field before a couple of Saracens players pile in on top of him. But Munster do well to retain possession, and into the hands of O'Donnell, who carries up towards the 22 and brings play back in towards that centre of the pitch in line with the posts. Murray goes back left, and Hanrahan quick hands out to Rory Scannell. Munster have gone backwards about 5 or 6 metres, and Murray tries to break towards the left, but Saracens have him all the way, and he's brought to ground by a couple of tackles. CJ Stander now gets possession out of that ruck under a lot of pressure from the Saracens players. Munster going backwards again a couple of yards. Archer now carries and does well, gets a good latch, and a couple of players in top, and Earls now onto this left touchline, and Elliot Daly watched him all the way and throws him out into touch, and it's going to be a Saracens line out just outside their 22, excellently defended by the defending champions. As Gozair just asked his assistant referee to just confirm that decision, as Keith Earls brought the ball out of play when he was tackled by Sean Maitland.
I think the crowd, both sets of fans beginning to get ensconced with this game. The physicality.
There's a bit of aggro here at the moment as well. Jamie George has seriously taken exception to something that was said by a member of the Munster backroom team, and a couple of players and staff having to be separated, and now that's spilled over onto the players, and Jack O'Donoghue's in there, as too is James Cronin, and every player now is piling in as the pushing and shoving drifts over out onto this running track. There are players scattered all over the place, and this is getting out of hand very, very quickly. There is a huge pylon that has slipped over the advertising boards, and we're scrambling, leaning over people, trying to see just what is happening here. James Cronin manages to walk away, having been in the thick of it just a couple of moments ago, as the players get up, and Owen Farrell gets pulled away by Conor Murray pushing and shoving, and it started all over again here back out on the pitch. This time it's Murray and Owen Farrell, and there's a second little set two breaking out here as well. Jack O'Donoghue and Nick Ezekwe. Andy, it's all kicked off.
It's good old-fashioned stuff. No punches, obviously, but lots of collars, lots of torn collars.
A lot of torn collars.
Do you know what I think? If anything, though, this is going to fall in with Munster. It's going to suit Munster. It's disruptive for Sarries.
You're the away team. Everyone's out to get you.
Absolutely, and it's...
and it all started...
You'd wonder what the hell was said to Jamie George. Yeah.
It initially started between Jamie George and a member of the Munster...
backroom side, yeah.
Member of the Munster backroom team who had come onto the pitch. And
But he very, very quickly reacted, George.
Stander and Farrell have both been brought over for a chat by Pascal Gozer. Hard to know if there's cards to be given out here. It did just look like a lot of pushing and shoving and dragging of jerseys. It has been a very clean game up until now. But when it kicked off, it seriously kicked off.
Yeah, I mean, WWF style there. Guys going out over the top rope, falling onto the athletics track. You don't really ever see a real dust-up anymore. I mean, that was a melee, I think we call it, as opposed to a punch-up or brawl.
And it looks like, I think Munster might have got a decision here, because yes, they've got a penalty. I saw CJ Stander jogging back, pumping his fist in the direction of his teammates. He looked happy with what he's seen, and it's a penalty against Saracens.
That's
just outside the 22 on this near touchline.
You can see a representative from the EPCR here having words with the medic.
One of the Munster medics.
I don't know which one, but he's getting the talent off, and he may have got his team 3 points.
Because it looks like JJ Hanrahan, he has the ball on the ground. Is he pointing towards the post? He is.
That one's for the team.
And that penalty has actually been brought in 10 metres as well from the touchline, so he's going to be kicking it right on that 15-metre channel in from the near touchline. Quite similar in position, maybe a little bit closer to goal than where he kicked that last one.
Yeah. One of the trickier areas to kick from, because everyone in the ground expects him to ping this one over. In windy conditions, he'd possibly like a more difficult one, perversely. But these are the gimmies that when the pressure's on, the posts feel a little bit more narrow.
And a huge chance for Munster to take a 6-point lead. And that Munster medic down in front of us, he's getting pats on the back from his from his fellow staff
Donovan's giving him a little energizer on the back there. This one's for the dock if it goes over.
Does that count as unseen work?
Absolutely.
Well, look, the ground is falling silent now as JJ Hanrahan stands over the ball. As we say, 15 metres in from this near touchline, around 25 metres out. Just a bit closer than where he slotted that one last time. And this time round, he's pulled it to the left, and it's gone wide. And a huge missed opportunity for Munster, where they could have gone 6 points in front, but it remains Saracens 3, Munster 6. 49 minutes played here at Allianz Park.
Can't help feeling it's a huge miss. It would have been a vital 6-point lead, and again really put the foot on the neck of Sarries, who look a little stressed and a little rattled.
And we can hear Munster fans making themselves heard, and what a catch that was. Straight from the 22 dropout. John Klein, I think it was, who got a hold of it, lifted up by a couple of teammates and ended up falling backwards before being helped to ground. And Hanrahan now moves to the left, and you can even see the energy and the pace of the collisions has just moved up a notch ever since that little set 2 a few moments ago. Munster just inside their own half, 15 metres in from the near touchline. Murray skips CJ Stander and gets it to Farrell. And Keith Earls gets over and gives a dig out at the ruck as Murray finds Klein again. Stander to the left, Holland to the right, but it looks like Murray is going to kick and send it down. Hasn't gone too far though, just inside the Saracens half of the pitch. And John Klein is the latest Munster player who's gone down injured. He's up now, but he is hobbling around the place as Munster retain possession just inside the Saracens half. A big carry by Klein though. He gets it up a few metres inside the Saracens half, and Keith Earls now on this near touchline skips inside, but Maitland brings him to ground. Another carry for Klein, stopped by a combination of Nick Ezekwe and Joel Kapoku. Hanrahan now as Munster bring it out into midfield, and that's a huge tackle by Ezekwe. Sends Tommy O'Donnell back a couple of yards. Back 10 metres inside their own half, and Saracens have turned it over now. Kapoku out to Vunipola, and Vunipola inside to Tompkins, who's tackled to the ground. Billy Vunipola now clears out one of the Munster players, and his brother Mako has it in his hands as Farrell gets it to Lazowski, and Tompkins skips outside to Sean Maitland, and Sean Maitland has space to work with as he brings play up towards the 22. Keith Earls brings him to ground. Saracens just outside the 22 on this near touchline, moving back in field into Ezekwe. 15 metres in from the touchline on the 22. Wigglesworth out to Mako Vunipola. Kapoku helps him out, as does Max Mullins. And it's Saracens' turn to attack now. Lazowski gets the pass away eventually. into the hands of Billy Vunipola, and they get it wide onto that far touchline. Elliot Daly now. Before Munster bundle him into touch. And you can hear the noise around us. It really has just ramped up a few notches in the last couple of minutes.
Definitely a bit of extra spice since that little melee down in front of us. I tell you, the one area I think where Munster aren't quite...
It's actually going to be, I should say, I think it's going to be a Saracens line-out. It was a Munster player who touched that last as they rolled into touch.
I think that's what the Munster crowd seemed incensed about. They were unsighted. But in terms of the overall game management, the one area I'd just like to see them change is Munster are probably holding on to possession too much around midfield, and JJ has options to kick. He's not kicking as a first option, he's kicking as a last option when he's no other options. And at that point, in the most recent turnover, that was JJ just simply passing to a Munster midfielder who was well marked. 3 or 4 oncoming Saracens defenders. That's the ideal time to punch one down in the corner, get his pack up off the ground. Again, it's something we would have seen over the years in the great Munster displays with O'Gara, and it adds a bit of variation to their tactical game. Murray's kicked very well. They do have a left foot in Scannell. They've got Farrell who can grubber kick, and would like to see JJ maybe a bit more taking a bit more ownership on that side.
And just jogging past us here now is Andrew Conway, accompanied by a Munster medic. Looks like he's heading straight down the tunnel for what you'd suspect is a HIA. Dan Goggin has come on to replace him. We'll keep you updated as to Andrew Conway's progress if he comes back onto the pitch. Saracens have also made a change at scrum half. On has come Ben Spencer, late call up to the England squad in the World Cup final. And a huge steal at that line out from John Klein.
In the position O'Mahony would normally take up there. You can forgive him
that tail end of the line out, yeah.
Absolutely, it didn't even look like O'Mahony. It was super stuff.
Murray gets it back and Munster retain possession. Farrell now out to Haley, and Munster trying to go wide, and Haley steps outside Lazowski before Lazowski gets a brilliant ankle tap and brings the Irish international to ground. Conor Murray sends one of those topspin box kicks down into the Saracens 22, and it's just going to stop short of the try line, but Mallins it is who's going to clear and might not find touch. Straight into the hands of Mike Haley just inside the Munster half on this near touch line. He's stopped by Mallins, who chased up his own kick. Vincent Koch getting in over it and almost spoiling possession for Munster, but Munster retain the ball, and it looks like they've been swallowed up here by Vunipola, but they bring it to ground, and it's a turnover for Saracens. Munster bringing in the ball, Saracens holding them up with that choke tackle. Joel Kipoku and Vunipola it was who were getting the slaps in the back, and Saracens will have the scrum here 7-8 metres inside their own half, 15 metres in from this near touchline.
I think it was James Cronin carried in. Mako just managed to, these guys are so used to having a low centre of gravity from scrummaging. It was probably 2 inches off the floor, both men. He somehow managed to get underneath them and hold them up. Almost impossible position to wriggle out of for Cronin. So superb defence. I think Mako Vunipola has shown some of his raw talent and strength there.
Scrum Saracens. And a first action for Ben Spencer, who came on a couple of minutes ago for Richard Wigglesworth. Spencer, the 27-year-old, 4 England caps to his name, played in that World Cup final. As we said, he was a late call-up when Willie Hines got injured in the semi-final week. Spencer's played two of their 3 games so far in the pool before today. As we still look down towards that tunnel in the far corner, no sign of Andrew Conway yet. He has just been gone a couple of moments.
Well, there was no blood on him, and he was also running very, very sprightly. I suppose it still could be a HIA. But,
and a penalty for Saracens at that scrum. It looks like Gozer has come across to this near side. Vincent Koch getting the better of James Cronin.
Again, looks like it was possibly a decision helped by his own touch judge, because it was given against James Cronin for his knees to the floor on the scrum. So far side from where Gozer was standing.
As he indicated, just Gozer just dropping his knee to the ground to tell us what exactly happened at that scrum. But Owen Farrell has sent that penalty down just inside the Munster 22, again on this near touchline. Saracens playing from left to right as you look at it on your TV screens, as they slowly walk up into that line out. 6 men in the line-out. Billy Vunipola standing as scrum half. Inside him, A few metres back, he is Ben Spencer. And they break into 2 pods of 3 and thrown to the middle to Ezekwe and taken and back to Vunipola, and Farrell now in a hard carry by Tompkins, but he's stopped well by O'Donnell. And Cruz now as Saracens moving a couple of phases just outside this 22 and bring possession inside the 22 now, moving from right to left across the pitch towards that far side. And coming back in field now, Kipoku. And held up by Munster. And can they do to Saracens what Saracens did to them just a couple of moments ago? No, they can't. Oh, they can actually. Just when it looked like Ben Spencer thought he had his hands on the ball to get it out, Munster just did enough to keep it in. And a turnover for them, and the scrum possession to them, 15 metres out from their try line, midway between the posts and the far touchline.
It looks like it's John Klein again. Of course, picked on the Irish squad for his physicality, or perceived added physicality he might bring, and was criticised for not really stepping up where he could have in the World Cup. He's certainly stepping up today. It's as physical and commanding a performance from that I've seen in a Munster shirt. Hugely important key moment there for Munster, just to stop that Sarries momentum. You felt that the JJ Hanrahan miss was growing bigger and bigger as Munster creaked in their own 22, but hopefully they can get away with it.
8 carries and 9 tackles for him so far. A player that I think a lot of people have said just doesn't make the impact on the game. But he certainly is today. But Munster under pressure in this scrum, and they need to get it out quick, and they do. And Murray finds Rory Scannell. That Munster scrum just starting to creak, and they had to get the ball out quickly, or they could have been in a bit of trouble. But they still hold possession. 15 metres out from their own try line, as Murray surveys left and right, and he's going to kick once again. And that's going to go straight into touch, and it's going to be a Saracens line out 13 metres inside the Munster half of the pitch. As another change is made onto the pitch comes Jackson Ray for Saracens, who's now played in all games so far in the tournament. Duncan Taylor, Scottish international, is also getting ready to come in. Jackson Ray is on for Joel Kipoku, who made his first Heineken Champions Cup start this afternoon, and his first start of the season. The 20-year-old obviously has a very bright future at this club.
Obviously Ray's a back rower. They're going to put in Ezekwe into the second row, is it? Or
I'd imagine so, yeah. Ezekwe would have a lot of experience in the second row.
Similarly, it shows a signal of intent. They're looking to try and get their sevens a bit more into the game.
Saracens retain the line out and get the ball to Elliot Daly in the centre of this pitch, and they get a good support shove as Spencer now plays it to Jackson Ray for his first involvement of the game. 10 metres inside the Munster half of the pitch. Farrell now, and Saracens definitely looking to speed up play in these few phases, as that kick from Elliot Daly just goes out into touch a few metres inside the Munster 22 on that far side of the pitch.
The introduction of Ray, Ray was a huge thorn in the side of Leinster. I think he was man of the match in the Heineken final back in May. To see Ben Earl and Ray now on the field, they're obviously going to try and get in and disrupt Munster on the floor. Any ruck chances, any chance to get in over the Munster carriers and try and eke out a penalty from somewhere.
And just to see the talent Saracens have, coming onto the pitch is someone like Duncan Taylor, someone with the experience he has. Absolutely. Both in Premiership and Test rugby. He has come on in the last moment for Alex Lazowski, who walks off the pitch looking a bit frustrated with himself. And Jack O'Donoghue spoils that lineup brilliantly for Munster, but it looks like Saracens have just about one possession back. Into the hands now of Ben Earl. As Saracens continue to charge, they've sustained a nice bit of possession and territory now for these last 10 minutes. The hour mark has just passed here, but it remains Saracens 3, Munster 6. As Billy Vunipola's chopped down at the ankles, and they get it out to his brother Mako and Owen Farrell now, and they have space here. Mallins steps inside, tackled by Earls. Saracens 10 metres out from the Munster try line. Spencer now, and another hard carry by Mako Vunipola as they get inside 5. Billy Vunipola this time, but stopped again by the Munster players. Conor Murray right in the thick of it. Ezekwe is at the back of this ruck. looking to go left or right, sizing things up, but Makavunapola is in behind him as well. And they do move on another half yard or so. Ben Spencer looks like he's going to go back towards this right-hand side.
A penalty advantage.
But not before the penalty advantage and a free shot potentially for Saracens, who have Owen Farrell standing to the right side. And they shoved away towards the try line. Are they over? No, we're coming back for the penalty. And straight in front of the post. The opportunity for Owen Farrell to level us up here. Unless they possibly think, with the yards they've been gaining at the scrum, they might try to pack it down and go for the jugular as Andrew Conway walks past us. Tracksuit top on. He's not coming back onto the pitch. His night is over. Dan Goggin is going to be staying on the pitch for the remaining 28 matches, and Saracens have decided to scrum down here 5 metres out, directly under the posts. They did put Munster under a lot of pressure at that last scrum on the far side of the pitch when Munster were in possession of it themselves, and they obviously feel there is a chance here to really have a go at this Munster 8.
They wouldn't give for a fit John Ryan now, I'd say. Well, there'll be pressure on both Cronin and Archer. Similarly on Klein and Holland. Okay, they've all got to row in here. It's a pivotal moment. 18 minutes to go.
Owen Farrell and Max Mallins both stand directly behind the scrum. To the right of Farrell you have Nick Tompkins and Sean Maitland. To the left Duncan Taylor as it wheels and wheels, and we're going to reset. Pascal goes there deciding that nobody was having the advantage, nobody was going anywhere, and it was too hard to pick out who might have been the one causing the wheel. But we are going to get reset here. Munster doing their best just to slow things down and halt the Saracens' rhythm. Still Munster lead, 6 points to 3. 63 minutes on the clock. You're listening to Off the Ball this Saturday. Neil Treacy alongside Andy Dunne for the remainder of this game, as Saracens have a big scoring opportunity here, 5 metres out. The scrum packing down. Owen Farrell standing directly behind that scrum, and they get a shove on this time, but Munster do stop them. And if anything now, Munster are going forward again. Billy Vunipola breaks and shoves off JJ Hanrahan. And it looks like, it's another penalty for Munster. It looked for just a moment like Billy Vunipola had knocked on that ball. But in the end, I think it's called for maybe a high tackle on one of the Munster players. And it's going to be a penalty again for Saracens. This time just to the right of the post, but just 5 metres out.
Well, Sarri's got the initial shove in that scrum. When they went for the second shove, Munster held firm and actually pushed them backwards. Vunipola had a very unstable ball at the base of his feet, picked it up and went, and the ball was dislodged with the physicality of Munster's defence. It looks like it was just, there was inches in between Munster getting the scrum there, I think.
And once more Saracens are going to try pack down here. They've decided that it is win or bust for them in this competition. A draw really doesn't suit either side, and Saracens have realised that. They can sense that they might have Munster on the ropes here, but as we've seen so far in this game, Munster's defence has been absolutely exemplary. The best defensive record in the competition so far. And can they hold Saracens out for another 20-25 minutes? Another penalty for Saracens at the scrum. The ball had barely been set and we had a collapse, and goes there straight with the arm out, and it looks like he's going to have a word with Munster captain CJ Stander. This could be a warning. He's just pointing out there have been a few penalties, not just at the scrum but in the build-up to this as well, and Stander is being given Munster's last warning. Next one is probably going to see a card, and if it's a collapsed scrum, who knows? Gozair could be running in under these posts for a penalty try.
Sometimes it looks to me like Gozair is he's pointed the finger there, like he's almost targeting James Cronin. He's had a go at him for a knee down off an early set. about 3-4 minutes ago. Sometimes in this setting, to appease the referee, the manager might make that substitution just to get him off his back. I don't think Cronan's done a whole lot wrong. I don't see any of the Munster.
Liam O'Connor would be the substitute, Lou said, but there's no sign of him warming up just yet.
It's a crucial scrum for both Cronin and for Munster, and hopefully Glazer can stay off his back.
James Cronin is a man who has found both his four-man fitness so far this season, having endured a real tough couple of years, as Ben Spencer is told to put that ball in, and Vunipola again breaks out to the right and goes for a couple of tackles. It's out to Sean Maitland, and Saracens in, and it's a try for Saracens. Sean Maitland in this near right corner after Billy Vunipola had broken from the back of the scrum, sucked in the Munster defenders before getting a brilliant offload out to the Scottish international Maitland, who dived over in the corner. And Saracens are back in front here. 65 minutes played at Allianz Park. Conversion to come. It's Saracens 8, Munster 6.
Well, we spoke at half time. We felt like the pressure was going to build and there might be one pivotal moment. I mean, we've got to firstly mention Cronin was heroic there in terms of how he actually defended that scrum, but there's only so many times you can take on Billy Vunipola in a game, and once the scrum reached parity, Vunipola picked, naturally enough he's going to attract 2-3 defenders that close to the line, and a little bit of basketball skill over the shoulders of the Munster tacklers into a very free and easy Sean Maitland to dive over. The JJ penalty misses coming quicker into focus every minute at this stage, at a 9-8 score and a touchline attempt for Farrell just ahead.
Yeah, Owen Farrell is just probably 2 metres inside this right hand touchline, just outside the 22, as Munster prepare a couple of changes, and it is Liam O'Connor who's ready to come on at loose head prop alongside Finian Wycherley wearing number 19, who's also getting ready as Farrell stands over this kick, and a chance to make it a 4-point game and push Saracens out to beyond the penalty. And he's cut right across that, and it's gone left and wide, and it remains Saracens 8, Munster 6, as Munster bring on 2 substitutes. Finian Wycherley and Liam O'Connor come on. Jean Klein, who's put in a huge shift this evening at Allianz Park, puts a jacket on him on the sideline, and James Cronin also walks off, having come under a lot of pressure in those scrums. But Cronin has certainly put in his shift, 11 tackles this afternoon, as Hanneran kicks us off and gets the game restarted and sends it deep into the Saracens 22 on the far side of the pitch. 13 minutes remain at Allianz Park, where Saracens lead Munster by 8 points to 6. Defeat for Munster here would leave them in a pretty perilous situation in this Heineken Champions Cup pool. Realistically, they would probably need to go to Paris and beat Racing and possibly even pick up a bonus point. Just those 2 JJ Hanneran penalties for Munster, and that one as well that just drifted to the left and wide, as Hanneran gets his hands on it now, and out to Chris Farrell, who works his way inside the Saracens half of the pitch. Murray goes left again, and O'Donoghue has the ball in his hands. Billy Holland into support, as is Archer. Munster just playing with possession on their halfway line, and Hanneran kicks down into that far corner of the pitch just outside the 22, where Elliot Daly watches it all the way and collects and steps back inside and gains himself a couple of extra yards. And Saracens just looking to slow down things a little bit and just take a bit of energy out of this game, having worked so hard to get themselves back in front. They just want to wear down a few minutes and get themselves into the closing 10. Again, Vunipola is swallowed up by 2 Munster players, as Daly stands in at scrum half temporarily. Or Ben Spencer has it. While we do that, we're just going to break away for a quick moment. There's been another Premier League goal. We'll just hang on for 1 second as Munster have the ball back in their hands and work their way 10 metres inside the Saracens half of the pitch. In possession now is Murray, out to Hanrahan, who skips out to Earls, and it's stopped by Sean Maitland's foot, and he has possession, and he skipped back inside, and he sidestepped JJ Hanrahan, and Duncan Taylor in to support him. George now to Farrell. Munster scrambling in defence, and Saracens trying to move the ball from right to left, but Tompkins is stopped 10 metres inside the Munster half. Vunipola now, Mako Vunipola. Short carry is Ben Spencer, looks to his left and back to Farrell, and Farrell is going to spread it wide to Taylor. Taylor jinking back inside and gaining an extra couple of yards. Mako Vunipola down, holding his leg, but he gets up back onto his feet, and Finian Wycherley gets over that ball for Munster, but doesn't quite make the turnover. Saracens retain possession. Mallon's now standing in it out half to Vunipola, who slips it back nicely, and in possession is Jackson Ray as they work their way around 15 metres inside this Munster half. Ezekwe now carries, and Saracens slowly just building and working their way up towards this Munster 22. Mallons to Vunipola, Mako Vunipola, another great backdoor pass, and Max Mallon steps inside from Owen Farrell and off to Vincent Koch. And Saracens can sense another try here inside this Munster 22. Tompkins finds a gap, and Tompkins, is he going to go all the way? No, he stopped 5 metres out, but Saracens driving towards the line. They're only 2 metres out now, and they're going for short carries, trying to just find that bottom of the post. Jackson Ray has it, stopped short of the line. Duncan Taylor trying to stand in at scrum half, and Mako Vunipola ready for the pick and go. He dummies to the left and goes himself, but he's tackled, and again Munster desperately defending just short of their own try line, and Saracens are exactly where they want to be with less than 10 minutes to play. Saracens, who lead by 8 points to 6, as they just slow things down, and Vunipola goes for the line again, and does he get there? He does, and it's a second Saracens try, and it's Mako Vunipola who burrows his way over the line just to the left of the post. More sustained pressure from that Saracens team, and a second try of the evening for Saracens, for Vunipola this time. Billy Vunipola it was who actually got the final touchdown, and Saracens have given themselves a cushion, because with a straightforward conversion to come, they've pushed their lead out now to 13 points to 6.
It's those Vunipola brothers again. Sometimes you just can't take on that level of quality. Billy Vunipola was the one who actually created the space in midfield. It's just this huge wide frame. He stopped and a circle pass behind his back to set up Spencer to run through the hole. So he was crucial in terms of setting up that midfield space, and then his brother Mako comes in and burrows over from a yard out. Of high quality, these two brothers.
Just trying to see now, it was such a close carry there. There's some people actually saying it might have been Mako Vunipola who got that touchdown. Chris Clute comes onto the pitch, as does Kevin O'Byrne, and Owen Farrell makes no mistake with the conversion, and Saracens have a 2-score cushion now. They lead by 15 points to 6. Tommy O'Donnell it is who comes off for Clute. Niall Scannell makes way for Kevin O'Byrne, and it looks like this game is just getting out of reach for Munster. 7 minutes left to play, and they need a try and more if they're to pull off an unlikely win. We will go back now for that goal in the Premier League. Chelsea taking on Bournemouth, and with the latest we can hear from Andrew Cheal.
Chelsea 0, Bournemouth 1. Hugely controversial VAR decision gives Bournemouth and Dan Gosling the lead with just 6 minutes to go. Was he offside? No, said the VAR. Was the ball over the line? Has he hooked it over his own shoulder? And the defender just got back, may have cleared it off the line, but again the VAR decision was yes, the whole ball did cross the line, and Gosling was not offside in the first instance. So the goal stands. Bournemouth have the lead. It's Chelsea 0, Bournemouth 1.
Munster in possession now. Line out to come 10 metres inside this Saracens half of the pitch. Nick McCarthy comes onto the pitch for Conor Murray to make his Heineken Champions Cup debut in the colours of Munster. The former Leinster man has played just a few games in the Pro 14, would have had to wait patiently while Albie Mathewson was finishing his time at the Province. But Kevin O'Byrne finds Finian Wycherley and almost intercepted there by Ben Earl. And that's a lovely crash ball from Chris Farrell. Gains a couple of yards and almost found a breakthrough. And Munster just looking to speed things up, getting desperate with the clock ticking. And they do have a penalty advantage just outside this Saracens 22. And they can't wait around for long. They're going to have to try use it as quick as they can as they get driven backwards. And Chris Farrell tries an offload, but we are going to come back for this penalty. 40 metres out from the Saracens try line, just to the right of the posts. And does JJ Hanrahan actually have a go here with Munster? I mean, they still need a try and more, Andy. Or is it just on the edge of his range?
I mean, I think it's within his range, yeah. They need more than 7 points.
Rory Scannell,
it
is, who has used his left foot to put it down into that far corner of the pitch. Munster 10 metres out from the Saracens try line, and if they are to pull this one off, they're going to need a try quick, because they'll also need to get back down and find a second score. Into the hands of Mike Haley it was who took that line out. Munster trying to work something off the training ground, but it's stopped brilliantly by Saracens, who pile men into that maul. And in the end, Munster still inside the Saracens 22, but have lost a lot of bodies in there, and they've also lost the ball, because it's going to be a Saracens scrum turned over. Munster brought it in and didn't use it, and Saracens have turned that over fantastically, and that looks like it might have just been Munster's last big punch.
It looks like it's effectively over, unfortunately, at this stage. I certainly can't see Munster getting 10 points in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Saracens scrum deep in their own 22. It's not what Munster fans want to hear, and it's not what they've built their success on historically, but nobody likes a heroic defeat, but this has been physically heroic in terms of the injuries they picked up, key injuries to key personnel, in terms of how they were going to build and try and attack the one or two possible Saracens weaknesses, that if there are any chinks in their armour, Munster were set up to attack it and lost both of those key players. So you got to feel a little bit sorry for them. In the professional world, nobody does, and you jog on and they'll get criticised, I'm sure. And the JJ Hanrahan missed penalty is coming sharper and sharper into focus as a key point in the game.
With 3.5 minutes to go, I know at half time we were talking about Munster and how well they had played. What has been your overall assessment as the clock ticked down towards what's now looking like a Munster defeat? Although they have won a free kick here off that scrum. Saracens pushing early, and they're not going to waste any time. We'll get Andy's thoughts in a couple of moments, because they've tapped and gone straight away inside this 22 as Nick McCarthy tries to break to the left and is stopped well, and Stephen Archer now the latest to carry as Munster get their way, and it's been turned over, and George Cruz it is who's kicked it left-footed, and Mike Haley can't catch it at the first attempt, and it's gone all the way back towards the halfway line. And everything that could be going wrong for Munster now is just going wrong. They're trying everything to just force this issue, and when that happens, it's where those little mistakes are made. Still on their halfway line, 15 metres in from the near touchline, 77 minutes played. They trail Saracens by 15 points to 6. Skip pass out brilliantly. That's taken really well on the wing. Dan Goggin it was who shifted it out brilliantly, and McCarthy now plays it back inside. Drop back to Hanrahan, and Finian Wycherley with a strong carry gets Munster inside that Saracens 10 metre line, but they need more yards than that, and they need it quickly. McCarthy or Haley just can't quite get the ball out there, and it's slowed down well by Saracens, and Liam O'Connor now with a short carry, but Munster going backwards, and Scannell flips it out to Keith Earls and steps inside and trying to find a gap, but it's nowhere to be found, and he's taken to ground, and a penalty for Saracens, and it's Ben Earl who's got his hands in over that ball from Keith Earls, sealed it over, and that is surely going to be that. Saracens in control of the ball with a penalty, and just 90 seconds left here at Allianz Park.
On the chop tackle, and so the Munster man went straight down onto the floor, and it just allowed Ben.
Andy, we're running out of time here at full time. We will have to go straight away, I'm afraid, but while we do have these last minute or so before the full-time whistle comes. I can get your thoughts again.
I think, yeah, just a terribly disappointing result, but certainly not a disappointing performance from Munster. We can throw platitudes out like courage too easily. They've shown huge courage. They've shown mental toughness and resilience. They've had key losses in key positions in terms of how they were going to attack the potential Saracens' weaknesses, but they didn't let it get in their way for 60-65 minutes, and in the end they looked a little punch drunk. It's well documented the Saracens have depth and
another
strength
penalty
in their
advantage,
squad.
another penalty for Saracens here, and you would imagine that
it sticks in the craw a little bit when they're bringing on multiple experienced internationals and they've already been penalised for breaking a salary cap. It's definitely looking at a squad here who's got superior strength and depth, superior experience, and when Munster take a couple of injuries and it comes down to 60-65 minutes plus, Munster really need to take absolutely every opportunity that came their way, and unfortunately a crucial JJ miss looks to be quite important in the overall result today.
Looking at where Munster are at the moment in the table, they'll still be just ahead of Saracens unless there wouldn't be time for a bonus point. The clock is in the red at the moment. We're just waiting for play to finish. Looking at where Munster are in the table, they'll still be second. They'll be 6 points behind Racing on 11 points, and almost stolen by Munster, but it's taken in the end by substitute Saracens hooker Tom Wollstonecroft and kicked straight out into touch by Ben Spencer, and that's the full-time whistle here, where Munster have been beaten by Saracens, and the defending champions are right back in this competition. They have beaten Munster here at Allianz Park by 15 points to 6. Very quickly, Andy, your final thoughts.
Just Saracens were able to absorb the physicality of an 80-minute game. It was test match intensity. Munster weren't quite able to absorb that for longer than 65 minutes. Key losses cost them dearly. A couple of tactical mistakes and certainly one key penalty from JJ where they had a chance to go 6 points clear with about 18 minutes on the clock. Something that he's probably going to rue as an out half, and something that the team certainly won't blame him as an individual, but did shift the momentum for Munster and change the outlook of the game in the end.
Thanks a million, Andy, for joining us. We're going to hear a little bit more from Andy later on. You can keep an eye out on offtheball.com and all of our social channels where we'll have full-time reaction. But from here at Allianz Park, where Munster have been beaten by Saracens by 15 points to 6.
The Snowman or a Muppets Christmas Carol?
A Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, Muppets Christmas Carol.
A Muppets Christmas Carol.
Muppets Christmas Carol. I watch it about 4 times a year, even when it's not Christmas.